I always thought I had the perfect life. A great career, a beautiful home in Manhattan, and a wife that I loved for over 20 years. Everything seemed stable, predictable, and comfortable. I built a successful financial consulting firm from the ground up, working long hours to ensure our future was secure. My wife, Laura, had the luxury of not needing to work. She spent her days attending social events, shopping on Fifth Avenue, and, most recently, dedicating herself to fitness. I encouraged her to focus on her health. After all, we weren't getting any younger, and staying in shape was important. She joined one of the most expensive gyms in the city, a private luxury fitness club that catered to high-end clients. She raved about her personal trainer, Ryan, a former athlete who, according to her, was the best in the business. I didn't think much of it at first. But over time, small things started to change. Laura's schedule became more unpredictable. She began dressing differently, more stylish, younger-looking outfits. She started leaving for the gym in the late afternoons and coming back hours later, always looking flushed and energized. When I asked how her workouts were going, she'd smile and brush it off with a vague, "Oh, it's intense, but I love it." Then, there were the little signs I couldn't ignore. Her phone was always with her, face down, even at home. She started giggling at random texts, and when I asked what was so funny, she'd say, "Just a group chat with the girls." But I knew her friends, and none of them were the type to message late at night. One evening, as we sat in our living room, she got a call. She glanced at the screen, her face stiffened, and she immediately silenced it. "Who was that?" I asked casually. "No one," she said too quickly. "Just spam." Something in her tone felt off. It wasn't the words themselves, it was the way she said them. Too defensive. Too rushed. That's when I felt it. That tiny, gnawing feeling in the back of my mind. The one that whispers that something isn't right. And I had no idea just how deep this betrayal would go. I tried to ignore it at first. Maybe I was just imagining things. After all, Laura and I had been married for over 2 decades. She wasn't the type to cheat. She had everything she could ever want, a beautiful home, financial security, vacations to Europe whenever she wanted. Why would she throw that away? But doubt has a funny way of creeping in. It starts as a whisper, a passing thought. Then, little things start standing out. Like how she suddenly started caring more about her appearance. Laura was always beautiful, but she never obsessed over the gym like this. She had a personal trainer years ago, but it was never this intense. Now, she was working out almost every day, spending hours at the gym, coming home exhausted but happy. Too happy. Then, one evening, she said something that made my stomach turn. "I think I might go on a little fitness retreat," she mentioned casually over dinner. "A retreat?" I raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you do retreats?" She laughed. "Oh, it's just a thing the gym is offering. A weekend getaway. Yoga, training, healthy eating. You know, self-care." I didn't like it. Something about the way she said it felt rehearsed, like she had practiced it in her head before telling me. And when I asked where it was, she got vague. "Upstate," she said. "I'll send you the details later." She never did. That night, I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling. Was I being paranoid? Was I letting my own insecurities get the best of me? I needed answers. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I picked up her phone. Locked, of course. Then I grabbed her gym bag, pretending to move it off the counter. That's when I saw something that made my stomach tighten. A receipt. A hotel receipt. Not for a retreat, but for a luxury suite in Midtown. I felt my hands clench around the paper. She had lied. And now, I was going to find out the truth. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the hotel receipt in my hands. The date on it was from 3 days ago. A Tuesday. Laura was supposed to be at the gym that evening. I tried to think logically. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe she booked it for a friend. Maybe there was some other reason. But deep down, I already knew the truth. She was lying to me. And I wasn't about to sit around and let it happen. That morning, I left for work as usual, but instead of heading straight to the office, I made a detour. If she was meeting someone at a hotel, then there had to be more clues. I drove to her gym, a sleek, high-end facility that looked more like a private club than a place to work out. From the parking lot, I watched. Dozens of people came and went, most of them professionals, models, wealthy housewives like Laura. Then I saw him. Ryan. Her trainer. Tall, athletic, with that cocky smile I had come to hate even before I suspected anything. He looked like the type of guy who had spent his whole life getting whatever he wanted. The kind of guy who thought rules didn't apply to him. I waited until he was alone, stretching near the front entrance. Then I got out of my car and walked up to him. "Hey, Ryan." He looked up, surprised. Then he smirked. "Hey, man. You must be Laura's husband." I ignored the smugness in his voice. "Yeah. She talks about you a lot." He grinned. "All good things, I hope." I stared at him. "She says you're the best trainer she's ever had. She's been spending a lot of time here." Ryan shrugged, clearly enjoying himself. "She's dedicated. Not everyone has that kind of commitment." I nodded slowly. "You ever train clients outside the gym?" His smirk didn't fade, but something flickered in his expression. "Sometimes." "Why?" "Just curious," I said. She mentioned a fitness retreat. His face barely changed, but I saw it, the briefest hesitation. A half-second delay before he said, "Yeah, we have those." I smiled. "Good to know." Then I turned and walked away. I didn't need to ask anything else. That look in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. Now, I just had to prove it. I walked away from Ryan without looking back, but inside, my mind was racing. He hesitated. It was barely a second, but it was there. That little flicker of doubt, the kind that only shows up when someone is caught off guard. Now, I just needed proof. That evening, Laura was unusually affectionate. She kissed me when I walked in, something she hadn't done in weeks. "How was your day?" she asked, her voice light. "Busy," I said. "Yours?" She stretched, looking tired. "Oh, exhausting. Ryan really pushed me today." "I bet he did." I studied her face. She looked relaxed, almost glowing. It made me sick to my stomach. She sat next to me on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Every time I glanced at her screen, she tilted it away slightly. Not enough to be obvious, but just enough to keep me from seeing. That was enough for me. After she fell asleep, I took the next step. I had never been the type to spy on my wife. But now, I had no choice. I got out of bed and grabbed my laptop. I had set up location sharing on both of our phones years ago, mostly for safety reasons. She didn't even know it was still active. I logged in. A map appeared. My location was marked. Laura's was supposed to be here, next to me. But there was another saved location, one she had visited multiple times in the last few weeks. Not a gym. Not a spa. A hotel. Not just any hotel, but the same one from the receipt. I clicked the details. Check-ins late at night. Always for a few hours. That was all I needed. I closed the laptop, my hands gripping the edge of the desk. This wasn't just a suspicion anymore. This was real. And I wasn't going to let her get away with it. The proof was in front of me. Laura had been lying. Not just about the gym, not just about the retreat, about everything. I sat in the dark, staring at the screen, my mind racing. The late-night check-ins, the hotel receipts, the secrecy with her phone, it all added up to one ugly truth. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. She thought she was smart. Thought she could sneak around behind my back and never get caught. If I confronted her now, she'd lie, cry, and twist the situation until somehow, I became the bad guy. No. That wasn't happening. Instead, I was going to destroy her carefully built fantasy. The next day, I called a friend of mine, Tom. We had gone to college together, and now he worked in private security. More importantly, he had access to resources that most people didn't. Tom, I said, my voice steady. I need a favor. I explained the situation. The hotel visits. The trainer. The lies. Tom didn't ask unnecessary questions. He just sighed. You want proof? More than that, I said. I want them caught in the act. He was silent for a moment. Then he said, I can get you video surveillance at the hotel. If she checks in again, you'll have everything you need. Do it. That night, I acted normal. I kissed Laura goodnight. I asked about her day. I even told her I had to work late tomorrow, planting the seed for her to take the bait. And right before bed, she picked up her phone, smiling at a message. She thought I didn't see. But I did. And soon, so would she. The next evening, I left the house as if I was going to work late. I kissed Laura goodbye, grabbed my briefcase, and walked out the door like it was just another normal night. But instead of heading to the office, I drove straight to the hotel. Tom had already set everything up. He sent me a text as I pulled into the parking lot. Tom, a room 708. They just checked in. I stared at the message for a second, then tightened my grip on the steering wheel. I had known this moment was coming, but seeing it confirmed in black and white made my blood run cold. I got out of the car and walked toward the hotel entrance, keeping my head down. The lobby was quiet, elegant. I could see the elevator at the far end. Tom was waiting near the front desk. He nodded when he saw me. You sure about this? I exhaled slowly. Yeah. We took the elevator up in silence. My heart wasn't pounding. I wasn't nervous. I was just focused. When we reached the 7th floor, Tom handed me a spare key card. Security footage confirms they're inside, he said. Ready? I didn't answer. I just slid the card through the lock and pushed the door open. And there they were. Laura. My wife. Ryan. The personal trainer. Half-dressed. Tangled in each other. For a second, the whole world seemed to freeze. Then Laura gasped and grabbed the sheets, her face draining of color. Oh my God. Ryan scrambled off the bed, his cocky confidence gone in an instant. What the hell, man? You can't just... I didn't raise my voice. Didn't move an inch. I just stared at them, my expression calm. I can, I said. And I did. I turned to Laura. You want to explain this? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She had no excuse. I let the silence hang in the air. Then I pulled out my phone and held it up. Smile, I said. And I took the picture. This wasn't just about catching them. This was about ending them. Laura sat frozen, gripping the sheets like they could somehow shield her from reality. Ryan, on the other hand, tried to recover his arrogance. "Listen, man, this isn't what it looks like," he said, running a hand through his hair. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "Oh. So, what is it then?" Laura finally found her voice. "Please, just let me explain." I tilted my head. "Explain what?" "That you've been sneaking around behind my back? That the gym was just a cover? That you've been meeting your trainer in a hotel room while I was out working to provide for you?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "I gave you everything, Laura," I continued, my voice calm but sharp. "A beautiful home. A comfortable life. And this is what you do?" Her eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't like that?" I held up a hand. "Stop. I'm not here to listen to excuses." Ryan stepped forward, trying to regain control. "Look, dude, let's be adults about this. It happened, okay? No need to make a scene." I turned to him, my eyes cold. "Oh, I'm not making a scene, Ryan." I held up my phone. This is just the beginning." For the first time, he looked nervous. I took a deep breath and looked back at Laura. "I hope it was worth it." Then, without another word, I walked out of the room. But this wasn't over. Not even close. I walked out of that hotel room without looking back. I didn't need to. The damage was already done. But this wasn't just about walking away. This was about making sure they paid for what they did. The next morning, I sat in my office, staring at the divorce papers my lawyer had drawn up overnight. I wasn't going to waste time. Laura was losing everything. I had been smart over the years. The house? In my name. The cars? Mine. Her bank accounts? Easily frozen. She had no idea how quickly her world was about to collapse. I texted her a simple message. Check your email." 5 minutes later, my phone rang. "Laura." I let it ring twice before answering. "Are you serious?" she snapped. "A divorce? Just like that?" I leaned back in my chair. "What did you expect?" She stammered. I thought we could talk." "There's nothing to talk about," I said flatly. "You made your choice." She tried to play the victim. "It wasn't like that?" I cut her off. "It was exactly like that. And now you're going to face the consequences." She went silent. She knew there was no way out of this. Then, just as I expected, her voice changed. Softer. Sweeter. The same tone she used when she wanted something. "Please," she whispered. "Can we at least meet? Talk in person?" I smirked to myself. She was desperate. But I wasn't giving her a second chance. "No, Laura," I said, my voice cold. "You can meet my lawyer instead." And then I hung up. This was only the beginning. Her life was about to fall apart. And I was going to enjoy every second of it. I expected Laura to fight. To scream, threaten, or try to manipulate me. Instead, she went silent. That was more satisfying than any outburst. The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. "She's in shock," he said. "She didn't expect you to move this fast." Of course, she didn't. Laura had spent years thinking she was untouchable, believing I'd always be there no matter what she did. "Not anymore. Push everything through as quickly as possible," I said. "I don't want her getting a dime more than she's legally entitled to." "She won't," he assured me. "And you'll be happy to know, her credit cards have already been shut off. Her name was only an authorized user. She has nothing." I smiled. That was just the beginning. That evening, she showed up at my office. Unannounced. My assistant buzzed me. "Sir, your wife." "Ex-wife," I corrected. "Right. She's here. Wants to talk." I sighed. "Let her in." Laura stepped inside, her usual confidence gone. No makeup, hair a mess, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. She looked broken. I leaned back in my chair. "You have 5 minutes." She sniffed, wiping at her eyes. "How can you do this to me?" I laughed. A real, genuine laugh. "You think I'm the bad guy?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. She knew she had no defense. "I gave you everything," I said. "And you threw it away for a cheap fling with your trainer." "It wasn't like that," she whispered. I rolled my eyes. "Save it." She took a deep breath. "Can we?" "I don't know, fix this?" I almost felt bad for her. Almost. "No, Laura." I stood up. "You made your bed. Now lie in it." Her lower lip trembled. "What am I supposed to do?" I shrugged. "Not my problem." And with that, I called security. "Escort her out." She sobbed as they led her away. For the first time in her life, Laura had lost. And I had never felt better. Laura was gone. Not just from my office, but from my life. But I wasn't done yet. She needed to feel the weight of what she had done. A week after I kicked her out, the real punishment began. She had no money. No credit cards. No support. Her so-called friends had vanished the second they realized she was broke. She tried calling old acquaintances, but no one wanted to deal with her mess. Then came the eviction notice. She had been staying in a small apartment, barely scraping by. What she didn't realize was that I still had control over some of the financial accounts we once shared. I had my lawyer freeze every last cent she had access to. Her landlord kicked her out the next morning. But the best part? Ryan dumped her. He thought he had landed some wealthy woman who would take care of him. The second he realized she had nothing, he disappeared. I made sure he had nowhere to go either. A few calls to the right people, and he was blacklisted from every decent gym in the city. The only job he could get was at some dirty back alley fitness center for minimum wage. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Laura, I made a mistake. Please, can we talk?" I stared at it. Then, without hesitation, I sent her a single reply. "Me, a new number. Who's this?" Then I blocked her. I moved on. A few months later, I met someone new. A woman who actually respected me, who loved me for who I was, not for what I could provide. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly free. Laura and Ryan got exactly what they deserved. And I? I won.